Staying with us here at 7:30, it is back to work for North Carolina state lawmakers. They are returning to Raleigh for what is known as the General Assembly's short session. It happens in even-numbered years. Business is done, legislation is tackled, often over just a few weeks. 2 years ago, in fact, that session lasted just 6 weeks. It's because most of the legislative work is done in odd-number years. The long session of the General Assembly gets going in January, and it can last into the fall. In fact, last year's didn't end until October. If you remember, a lot of big stuff was done during that long session last fall. A budget was passed, Medicaid was expanded in the state, abortion access was restricted, a North Carolina Parents' Bill of Rights was also passed, and the private school voucher program was expanded. The short session may not take up as many controversial issues, but some important work will certainly be done. For example, we mentioned school vouchers were expanded. More families would be eligible to get some private school tuition paid for. The cost to taxpayers went from $170 million to $400 million. And it turns out that did not meet the demand. The state received more than 70,000 applications for those scholarships, but the majority, 56,000, are on a waiting list. Lawmakers may look to reduce that number coming up here in the new session. Zachary Eanes with Axios Raleigh is keeping a close eye on that and other issues that are likely to come up. We know school vouchers were vastly expanded last session. What do we expect to happen this time around?
Yeah, I think we could probably see something very similar. The Republicans and the General Assembly, have found that this has been pretty popular with the public. They expanded it, like you said, last year and lifted the income cap and demand for these vouchers, which, give taxpayer money to help subsidize private school education throughout the state. The demand exceeded supply. And so Republican leaders are looking to put, I think Phil Berger said roughly $100 million more into opportunity scholarships next year. Now, of course, this has gotten quite a bit of opposition. Notably, Governor Roy Cooper is not a fan of these and say they're taking money and, hurting public schools in the state.
Perhaps setting up a campaign issue as then we head into the fall. Speaking of education, teacher pay is always a big issue. Could we see some movement there as well in this session?
I think we could. House Majority Leader Tim Moore told reporters earlier this, month that he's hoping to put more raises for teachers, in this short session. And the governor is also calling for it too. The governor's proposal, which is just a proposal, suggested 8.5%. Republicans haven't said how much they might put towards teacher pay, but I think it's a pretty good chance that something could get added.
We think of immigration, right, as this federal issue that's debated all the time, but it sounds like the General Assembly may get into the fray here.
Flashback to 2018, immigration was still a hot issue back then too, but a wave of sheriffs were elected in, the most popular counties, Mecklenburg County, Wake County, Guilford County, basically saying they were not going to comply with ICE detainer requests to basically immigration and customs enforcement. When a person that is in the country illegally gets arrested, and a sheriff cannot determine what their status is, they will notify ICE, and ICE can then ask for that person to be detained for up to 48 hours, right? So that a federal, authority can come get this person and, potentially deport them. Basically, sheriffs in some of these counties like Mecklenburg, we're saying we're going to need to see, a warrant or, a criminal complaint from a judge before we comply with that, saying if this person pays a bond, we have to legally release them. So this bill would then actually force sheriffs to then comply with any ICE detainer requests for up to 48 hours.
We'll see where that goes. You only got to turn on your television to know online sports betting is underway in the state. I guess I'm wondering, are lawmakers done with gambling, or could there be some other things popping up here?
So last year, casinos had a lot of momentum. The Republicans proposed putting 4 casinos in rural parts of the state. And it looked like it was going to be included in last year's budget, but it fell apart. There was some strong opposition in some of the counties where they were proposed, like Rockingham County and Nash County. Casinos do not look like they're going to come back up in this short session, but one thing that could come back up are sort of these video lottery terminals. And you
Right.
see them around sometimes, and they're currently illegal, but they could be, that's something that could be added in this short session. And one reason is, potentially that could create $400 million in revenue for the state if that is legalized.
We'll be watching.